So, Anthony, I kind of want to ask you a few questions, or shift the topic here to Hotel Impossible. I've seen the show. I thought I watched it years ago and loved it. How did you really get the idea to start Hotel Impossible?
Well, I had a friend of mine that offered me the CEO job of his company, and for two reasons I couldn't do it. And that would have been the most fun I've ever had is working with my best friend in his company. But I just decided it wasn't right for me at that time, and I was tired of making. I worked at Tishman at the time, and I liked Tishman, and I liked all the people I've worked for in the industry. But I literally was tired of making rich people richer. That was kind of my statement to myself. I'm like, I'm just tired of this. It's like I think I'm good at my job. I think I've done a good job, but like I want to teach the business, and I want to build my own brand. So I got the idea for the show with help of friends like David and other people. They helped me, and before I knew it, I got lucky. It was the right time. Preparation and opportunity equal luck, and I worked hard. I went through a lot of money for 2 years, staying out trying to get the show done. And right before I was about to, say I can't do this anymore, I went through my FU fund. They called me and said they're picking up the show, and that was probably professionally the happiest day of my life because I just intuitively knew people wanted to see this show. And there's not been a hotel show in America that's been successful ever to this day outside of our show. And it took someone like me and my team that didn't have anything. I had everything to lose professionally because if I really screwed up and didn't do a good job, I would never be able to be invited back into the hotel industry. So that's who I served. I served the housekeepers and the front desk people and the managers and owners who would watch the show. And I never cared about ratings, never cared about producers, never cared about Travel Channel. I just cared about the hotel owner and their staff. And if I did that, I said the things that a lot of vice presidents of brands and general managers can't say. I mean, how many times in an airport, probably never am I not in an airport where people don't come up to me and go, oh my God, you changed the way I check into a hotel, or I wish I could have said that to my boss. It's like I said the things, and it's not 100% not scripted. David's been on set. He knows it's 100% not scripted. And I created it, helped, I started creating it, and then my team helped me, and I helped produce it, and I hosted it. So everything you saw was what I wanted. And never once did Travel Channel say curse less, curse more, be funnier, look taller. They never gave me a note. Not to say on set with producers, they all tried to give me notes, and that didn't work out so well for them.
Well, you
But
didn't even when you started when you didn't even have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the beginning, you weren't even sure you wanted to be the host. It was just more about getting it made, not about you being host or you having a show.
that's what I love about having my best friend interview me because missile pilot, and like no one knows that because everybody knows my personality, thinks I want to be in the front. I love producing. I never have to be on TV another day in my life, and I never have to be on a mic another day in my life. If I can make a living producing and whatever, I do want to do keynote speaking the rest of my life because I enjoy it. But I actually tried to force them to not have me as host, but that wouldn't have worked out because the person that I would have had to manage that was the host would have probably stabbed me in the neck. Because 99% of what you saw was impromptu. Like it just happened.
Wow.
I mean, it was just 100%. I remember being on a set in, where was I? I was in Cola, California, and there was a really bad pool. It was disgusting. It was a filthy pool. And there's a gentleman named you can look him up, Brandon Braga. He's a big producer in Hollywood. He emailed me one day and he said, listen, I do a lot of things you do on set. You've taught me how to be a better manager. And this guy did Cosmos with Neil Tyson, and he's done Star Trek. He's done everything. And he is one of the biggest producers in Hollywood. Matter of fact, I was with him at dinner one day and he's talking to Steven. I go, Steven who? Spielberg. So he's a big shot, and he was on my set because I was Louisiana. I was in Louisiana with my daughter on set because I was going to go to his set because he was in Louisiana shooting to show my daughter because she wanted to be in theater and movies. And he came to my set, and he was standing there with his assistant, and I'm just flabbergasted that this guy is even interested in my set or my show or me. and we're done with this hour, and it was supposed to be 5 minutes, went an hour. It was crazy. I was chasing an owner. He threw a shoe at me. Uh, it was just crazy. He called the cops on us. It was insane. And he said to me, he looked at me and he goes, "I didn't see you rehearse that." I go, "Rehearse what?" He goes, "That was real?" I go, "Dude, that was 100% real. That all happened like just impromptu." And he couldn't believe it because when I've been on his set, obviously it's very regimented. And so that's really what I enjoyed most about the show, but also why I think it resonates with not only hotel owners, but a lot of managers is we deal with nonsense all day long. And, something just happened in my company that I run. And if I had a camera on me for the last day and a half, it would have been maybe the best show in the episodes because it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that's the number one question I get asked about you or the show is, was that real? Like, is that's like scripted, right? And I'm like, no. I'm like, actually, if somebody does try to script it, like everything blows up. I'm like, people get fired. I'm like, no, it's real. So, what's your favorite? Is there? You did, I know you. I mean, you did. I think you did how many? 100 plus episodes.
108, 9 seasons.
108. What was there one that?
And 2 other spinoffs that we did.
5-Star Secrets and Extreme Hotels, correct?
Mm-hmm. And we did another show that I came on as a voiceover, a Hotel Showdown.
Oh, that's right. Was there one episode that was your favorite of Hotel Impossible? One that you really felt like, wow, that was maybe the most exhausting.
I was thinking of the first show other than the pilot I did. The first real show we did was the one down in Florida with a family and with these young girls, and we were able to help the family. But I'm going to go to the last show we ever did. It was the 108th show. And you've heard me say this, David. I was like, I want the last show to be our best show. And the last show was our best show. It was the best crew I've ever had. It took us 5 seasons out of the 9 to get the crew that I was most proud of. And I never stopped. And David heard all the nightmare. I never stopped. Even our director who was with us for the first 5 seasons, we just fought all the time. And finally I just had it. And it was like, it's either him or me. And I still love him to this day. We're friends and I wish him nothing but the best, but I just couldn't take it anymore. I was too stupid to realize I could let him go the first season. But he was great. He helped me, but he was just too restrictive on lighting and positioning of camera. He would never tell me what to do, but like we'd have to walk through a door 3 times, and I'm like, I'm done with this. And then the other person that did our pilot with us came back. He was our director, and he was just like, it was a shit show every day, and it was great. It was like we were running into walls, cameras were falling downstairs, we were falling off the back of mopeds and snowmobiles, and it was crazy. I almost killed myself 5 times. The more I almost killed myself, the more he loved it. It was just, and it's so funny. Somebody just said to me recently, who's a big, big fan of the show, said, what happened in the 5th season? It changed. I go, what do you mean? And it was a subtle change. It's like, it just got quicker. And it was like, that was a change of directors. But the last show was so intense and the owners were so horrific to the employees that I threw a chair across the banquet space. And I didn't do it on camera because I wouldn't have done it on camera. I was just so frustrated. And the cameraman said, "Hey, can you do that again?" I was like, "Unless I'm throwing it at you, no, I can't do it again." And I went into my green room, my trailer, because we couldn't stay in the hotel because we had bed bugs everywhere. And I remember being in my trailer and the camera was coming in, and I kicked the door closed. I was like, "Do not come in here with that camera." And the director came in, and I broke down in his arms. I started wailing like a 3-year-old because I've never seen someone treat good people the way these 2 pieces of shit owners treated these employees. And I was so proud that the last show was our best show. And I always said, one day I'm going to get tapped on the shoulder and the show's going to be done. Only 200 shows in the history of American television have ever done 9 seasons. I'm one of them. So when I got tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, no, matter of fact, no one even called me and told me it's over. They just didn't pick it up anymore. I was so satisfied, and David can tell you that. I was the only one that was not upset because I was waiting for day 1 for it to be tapped on the shoulder and said no more. Because the percentages of doing a show for 9 seasons and doing it your way is 0.00000001%. Like I did it my way, my show for 9 years, for 9 seasons. I don't think any show's ever been done like that. Maybe Anthony Bourdain's show.
Yeah, and what I tell people, what's amazing is about with entertainment shows, movies, plays, whatever. There's voices, people sing. It's so subjective. Somebody has to like you. It's not like sports where wow, that kid throws 102 miles an hour. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's gonna he's gonna make the major leagues. Or this guy's an all-star quarterback. It's so subjective. So to do it and get that, obviously has got to feel incredible.
Well, you know what? I'm probably really two things. One, I had the best teams, and the people worked their asses off so hard and made me look good. I was doing all the fun stuff where they were doing all the hard work. Me and my producer Alex, we talk about the time he prevented me from getting whacked in Sicily by a hitman, and that's a true story. Like he literally shut down the show because he said you'd get whacked if you went to that hotel. They would have killed you, and he wasn't kidding. And so I had so many great people around me. So I'm beyond honored and proud. And the only reason there's a show, and you hear it all the time, people are like, oh yeah, everybody else. It literally was. I mean, it was just me being able to be, it's like watching a kid in the playground, right? It's like you have to build the playground and your parents have to put protective barriers so you don't kill yourself, but you get to play in the playground. And that's what happened for the show. They put me in a protective playground and no one told me what to do. And it was the most fun. And I'm also the most proud of our focus group when the pilots in the first three episodes before it was on air, they go through focus groups. Everybody goes through them. Anthony Bourdain, everybody went through them. And to this day, I understand that my focus group was the highest rated focus group in the history of all of the channels on scripts at the time. And authenticity, believability, understanding of content, I was the highest rated. And that to me was my favorite because it was just me. I didn't water it down for anybody. I didn't care. I really don't. To this day, I don't care. I mean, if you don't like me, you don't like me. And another thing is, I don't know if I've ever read a bad comment about the show online. People say I'm full of shit and I'm an asshole and I'm Napoleon complex and stuff like that. But the show, I've never gotten a bad. I don't remember David getting a bad comment on a review on the show. I don't remember. I mean, if you go to IMDb, not IMDb. I think Amazon. The ratings are really high. Even on IMDb, the ratings are pretty high.
A lot of times I talk to people, or if I have conversations about the show or about you, and not telling them that I've known you for 25 plus years. It's always positive. Like I've never had to say to someone like, well, what do you mean? Why didn't you like it, or what did you think? The question I always get is that wasn't real, right? That's fake, right? And I'm like, no, it's real.
Yeah. So David, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why on the pilot episode of Hotel Impossible were you cut and you didn't make the pilot episode?
Well, I had done such a great job that Anthony was nervous that they were going to give me the show. So he actually pulled them aside and said, yeah, you just got to cut that out. It's not going to work. It's, and that's the truth. And so
what was the asshole thing that I asked you to do? I asked you, what was it? Was it
you tried to take my tie off? Yeah. So here I am trying to be a good friend, drive all the way out to friggin' Montauk. And I don't do TV, so I got a tie and I'm presenting this website that we're going to do, and I'm all wired up. And he comes in and starts to, says, "Oh, you shouldn't have a tie on." I'm like, this is live, the recording. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I'm screwing up the whole show, but it was good. It was fun. It was
fun, but unfortunately he didn't make the cut. I think there's one shot of your website that goes about that quick, right?
It's still online. A section of the show is online on the Travel Channel, and I did the day in the life of Anthony Melchiorri. You came to the offices. Right. Yeah.
Which is one of the most liked videos I have online because my kids were involved. Or my kids still, no, I think it was my kids. But it's my kids, like in college, their friends will find it and they just brutalize my children.
That's funny.
So Anthony, kind of go in the other spectrum now. Any show that was just brutal, which was tough, which you remember that
every one of them
sticks out to you?
No, and I'm not saying that to be like every one of them. Every one of them, I almost threw up. Every one of them, I lost a couple of pounds. Every one of them, I didn't think we'd make it. Every one of them, I threatened to quit. Every one of them, I was scared shit. Think about how TV works. You have a script, you have producers, and there's a budget. and you go and you rehearse and you hit the script and the actors act and the light is light and the camera's camera and everybody does what they're supposed to do. And it's over. It's like, surgery. Like, the script, you're going to go in there, you've done the surgery 100 times. And sometimes there's unexpected things, but you're prepared for it most of the time. Now, imagine being a producer and a director and a camera guy. You don't have a script. You have no idea what's in my brain. I don't know if I can get the show in the can because I don't know if there is a show. And we show up with a budget that we have to get a show. For me, it was hard, but imagine being around me and you have to trust me so you don't get fired. Because if we go back without a show, we're all screwed. So until I got the show, and I didn't get the show in my brain until the second day afternoon or the third day morning. And I would turn to the director, like sometimes I'll go, oh, we got the show. It's it'll be fine, whatever. Until I said it out loud, we didn't have the show because I still was very scared. And sometimes I'll come off scene and I'll just look at the director and I go, we got the show. See you later. And then for the next day and a half, I'm like so calm and cool and I'm so happy. And yeah, I'm still doing what I have to do and being intense, but I got the show. There was one show we did up in the Catskills, and the showrunner, who's basically in charge, took a very expensive $5,000 walkie-talkie and threw it at a tree about 10 feet from my head. That's how angry he was because I was walking off the show. And after he broke the camera, it was pouring rain, and I'm laughing at him, and I go, Rob, we got the show, bro. And I walked out, and that was it. And we got the show in 2 days. We didn't turn it around, and the guy was a piece of crap, but we got the show. Now, my job is to do the best I could. I did, and I got the show. Would I have walked out if we didn't get the show? Of course, I still would have walked out. But I knew it was coming to an end and the owners were going to throw us out. So I told them, let me go and whatever it was. I said, let me go do that scene. And it was, remember, David, you probably remember this, when I had the three contractors, the roofer, the mold expert, and somebody else. I said, I have to have that scene before he throws us out. Because if I have that scene, the audience is going to hear those experts say, you got to bulldoze the place or you're going to kill somebody. And that's what they said. And I was like, drop the mic, I'm gone. Because he's not going to do it. And I go, what do you want from me? He goes, I want you to leave. I said, bye. And then I got a radio thrown at my head.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe below. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media and presented by Stay Flexi. Stay Flexi is your modern operating system for independent hotels. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to go to stayflexi.com. Or if you'd rather talk to me, message me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email at steve.karen@stayflexi.com. Thanks and have a great day.